And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. We're looking at 211 angstroms here from the Sdo, and it's because coronal holes are part of today's story. Here at the Smash News Network, at least supposed to name a news, we like to provide the whole story, facts, and so on. And remember, folks, I'm not only Smash-a-Mash, but I'm also a client. Solar activity here pretty low over the past 24 hours. We do have Sunspot 3068. It's still quite magnetically complex. It's beta gamma delta class at the moment. Only minor C-class intensifications. This sunspot over here that just rose is only alpha class. Likelihood of it producing major flares quite low. Here's our colorized magnetogram. And the flaring came from this setting region over here in the southwest. Let's briefly look at volcanoes, as we've got a new one on the list here. A bunch of seismic activity happening under Iceland. So the alert level has been changed for the Grímsvötn volcano. Grímsvötn alert level raised to yellow. So seismic activity continuing there. Again, Grímsvötn now on the list. Karimsky erupting on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Produced a dense gray ash plume which reached 17,000 feet of altitude. Flight level 170 over Karimsky. Abiko, flight level 140, it's a 14,000 foot ash plume. Sakurajima exploding, 8,000 foot ash plume over Sakurajima. Suwanosejima, 7,000 foot ash plume there. Heading down to East Java, Indonesia, flight level 130 there, 13,000 foot ash plume. And the Central American Fuego, located in Guatemala, has decreased its lava flow, no longer active toward the Sanitza chute. Still erupting apparently. Not a huge ash plume from Fuego. Nevado de Ruiz exploding in Colombia, flight level 210, a 21,000 foot ash plume. And the usual suspects in Ecuador are still at it. Sangay and Revenador both exploding. 21,000 foot ash plume from Sangay, 15,000 foot ash plume from Revenador, flight level 150 there. And Sabancaya, explosive activity happening there once again. Sabancaya producing a 23,000 foot ash plume, flight level 230. Seismic activity at the moment on a global scale is at moderate levels. And the largest quake was, I believe, a 5.6. So no major quakes here. The highest we've seen in magnitude is 5.0. So there's a 5.0 at the South Sandwich Islands region. A 5.4 at Honduras. So that's something there in Central America. One of the largest quakes of the past 24. Philippines also saw a 5.4, and there's the largest quake, a 5.6, 262 kilometers east of Fiji. And we're back to space. So here is the 304 angstroms 24-hour Sdo imagery. Huge prominence up here in the northeast. Again, the flaring C-class intensifications came from this setting region down here. Once again, flaring happening after a sunspot is out of sight. And let's go a little deeper. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux now at 98 solar flux units. For those of you who are new viewers, or you're not aware of what the radial flux is, it's the most proportional data set we have to sunspot number. This portion of the sun right here the upper chromosphere and lower corona emit a radio signal, which is proportional to sunspot number, as you can see from this 1 year chart. The black line, the radial flux, the red line below it is the sunspot number, and it's creeping up here. Again, it's at 98 solar flux units. If you're wondering what a solar flux unit is, it is 10,000 joules of radial flux density. Here's our space weather enthusiast dashboard. There was a brief period of geomagnetic unrest forecasted for this morning by Noaa. We didn't see that. We do have a high-speed coronal hole wind stream at the moment. We'll get into the in-depth solar wind data in a moment. First, let's take a look at the last 4 hours of Earth's geospace. It's a geomagnetically calm condition at the moment. This imagery shows magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and the units expressed are nanopascals. And I wouldn't worry too much, folks. Earth's magnetosphere is not going anywhere. It is not weak on the multi-million year scale. The magnetosphere is not evaporating, folks. Anyway, that's the last 4 hours. Again, geomagnetically calm. Here is the ground magnetic perturbation map, again, over the past 4 hours. The units expressed here are nanotesla, and the model presented here is the space weather modeling framework. You can read about it on the Geospace Magnetosphere movie or ground magnetic perturbations page. Scroll to the bottom, click details, you'll find a link to the space weather modeling framework. So there's the KP index. KP2 is the current situation. Again, we never reached that geomagnetic unrest period forecast by Noaa. And here's a real-time solar wind. Pretty consistent over the past 24 hours. About 8 protons per cubic centimeter is the solar wind density. Solar wind speed about 520 kilometers per second. That's fairly fast. That is a high-speed coronal hole wind stream. Next, looking at magnetic data, here's the GOES magnetometers as measured by the GOES 16 and GOES 17. And if you're wondering what the arc-jet moments are, those are because NASA's not hiding data. The arc-jet moments are when the near equatorial orbiting geosynchronous spacecraft must turn on their thrusters, which produces plasma, which could affect the magnetometer readings. So they make that portion of the graph yellow. And you can see this spot here, it looks like it did affect the readings on August 1st. Next, we're looking at the heliospheric current sheet. Earth has recently moved into a North Pole-oriented current sheet. The solar plasma is polar, and it's showing you the North Pole current sheet here in green and the South Pole current sheet in red. Here's your North Pole current sheet. Here's your South Pole current sheet. And here's your line of sight plot. We are watching the north solar polar field now migrating as it swings around to face the Earth. We've got coronal holes, which we started out the video with. So here you can see these, at least one very well-defined trans-equatorial North Pole-oriented coronal hole system there. A bunch of North Pole magnetism there, rotating into the Earth-facing zone. Here's the imagery from Sdo in another wavelength, 193 angstroms. And we may see some further definition of these coronal hole systems as they rotate closer to the Earth. The solar corona is very bumpy, and so we may see a lot of definition happening as those rotate into the Earth-facing zone. We typically do. So here's a close-up of that. Also some filamentary prominences happening up here in the northeast. And let's move to sunspots. Sunspot activity has been pretty calm here over the past 24 hours, although Sunspot 3068 remains at least beta-gamma class. I think it's beta, gamma, delta class, but who am I to argue with the detected sunspots on the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center? So only 2 named sunspot groups at the moment. Let us know in the comments if you expect them to grow, shrink, or if you expect new ones to form or rise in the east. Here's some more imagery of sunspots. 1700 angstroms is a good wavelength. We'll also show the Sdo magnetogram. That's approximately the last 24 hours there, and again, things pretty consistent. We'll also show the intensitygram, the Sdo continuum data from helioviewer.org, and we'll show a close-up of the southern hemisphere, since we've got 0 sunspots in the north. Pretty stable here over the past 24 hours. Again, we've only seen C-class intensifications. The largest flare of the past 24 hours was this. That was about a C4.2. Pretty decent flare there occurring on the southwestern limb. Here's some imagery of that. 94 angstroms. Looks like some flaring did come from sunspot 3068 as well. Let's continue on here. No spikes in the proton flux. No relativistic particles hurled to Earth from those flares. If you're up before dawn, you may see Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus all up there in your morning sky. And it's been a great couple of months here to view the morning sky. Let's do a solar system forecast. We've currently got a crescent waxing moon. Here's the 1-week forecast for the solar system. Keep in mind, this imagery is not to scale. There's where things will be in a week as we approach another full moon. Next, doing some coronagraph imagery. Here are the coronagraphs from yesterday from George Mason University. And here's today. That's only 13 frames. And let's include some imagery here from Stereo A at Lagrange 5 and the Soho Lascaux C3 at Lagrange 1. That'll be on your right, Stereo A here on your left. No new earthly directed coronal mass ejections. And keep in mind the time and date stamps there are at the bottom. Those are not synced. And before we get to our bonus feature segment, we'll look at some hydrogen alpha imagery here from the El Teide, Spain National Sunspot Observatory Telescope. Quite a few filaments here in the northern hemisphere. Significant filament down here in the south as well. Those could become coronal mass ejections at any moment. Keep in mind, folks, we don't need sunspots or solar flares to see coronal mass ejections. Great prominence up here in the northeast continues. That's the last about 2.5 hours. And here's the last 24 hours in 171 angstroms. The house favorite. Once again, folks, I'm not only Smash-O-Mash, I'm also a client. Part of the reason why we make these videos is because I view them myself. When you immerse yourself in the science data, occasionally you end up with answers to questions not asked. So here's our satellites community dashboard as we go into our bonus feature segment. And we've got some minor charging hazards here, just like yesterday, over places like Mexico and the Central Pacific. Central Eastern Pacific at the moment. Goes electron flux here a little bit low. And that is what we typically see during coronal hole high-speed streams. Here's Noaa's forecast model, forecasting a little bit higher than the actual observations, which are the yellow diamonds. Here's the one-year chart to put that in context. And if you want to view that yourself, it's at solon.info. Here comes the F ionosphere layer, the ionogram and the anomalygram. The F layer located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Here's the vibrational frequency. And if you're not familiar with that, we will show the anomalygram. So here's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Quite a few low-frequency anomalies happening there, especially south of the equator. Also the eastern world seeing some low-frequency anomalies. And there's the latest image, 10 o'clock Universal Time ionogram, 10 o'clock Universal Time anomalygram. Next, our total electron content forecast. And let's pause for station identification. This is the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Whew. Let's get to the total electron content forecast. So total electron content forecast shows you the electrons up to your geosynchronous GPS satellite. The thermosphere, ionosphere, and the plasmaspheres contain free electrons which refract your GPS signal. And that imagery shows you where those refractions are likely to occur. Feel free to pause the video on this image if you're not familiar with distances to objects and things like the Van Allen belts. Here's our latest solar intensitygram, and our latest colorized magnetogram. We'll take a brief look here at Sunspot 3068. And you can see quite a bit of magnetic complexity there, especially around the leading umbra. This sunspot here is only alpha class. It's only got one magnetic field. And let's bring up one more series of images here from the Sdo. This is ionized helium and iron together. And that imagery includes yesterday and today. That's August 2nd and August 3rd. Did you know we regularly stream live to Twitch? Twitch.tv/smashamash is where we stream on the regs. Yeah. Install the mobile app. It'll quite consistently inform you when we go live. And make sure you follow us on Twitter. Get on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. I know this censorship is pathetic. Get on Twitter anyway. Hilarious discussions going on. and with some, of course, great information as always, such as the explanation of where our solar system is moving. Did you know that the local interstellar chimney is moving toward Deneb, and the sun is moving toward the edge of the local interstellar chimney, toward where this tab says solar apex? Yeah, it's true, folks. Even a link to that, twitter.com/smashomash, a hilarious conversation with some flat earth types going on over there. If you enjoyed the content on YouTube, please press like, subscribe, share, press the notification bell, as you may get a notification when we put up a video on YouTube. And leave us a comment. Thanks to whoever picked up the Fauci Face of Evil hat. I'm pretty sure the face of evil always shows itself. And people across the whole galaxy yearn for freedom and liberty. So we've decided to endorse the Galactic Federation Special Forces and proclaim Universum Liberate. If you want to freak people out, some alarmists will think that you're in the Illuminati because you know tiny portions of the Latin language and you say things like Universum Liberate that'll freak them out. They'll think that you're going to be headed to Bohemian Grove soon or something like that, and that if you like owls, that you're also sacrificing babies. But in any case, we're not sacrificing babies. We are proclaiming the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces, Universum Liberate. Endeavoring to bring freedom and liberty to the galaxy. And by the way, I'm currently wearing the shirt. Check it out. Print quality very high, and the symbolism refers to the Milky Way galaxy, signal strength and security, as well as instantaneous galactic scale reach. This bright spot up here, that represents something classified. We can't tell you what that is. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. Gold and silver level Smash Team members get additional information nobody else gets to see. We've even revealed the mechanism underlying the solar cycles and solar polar field reversal cycles to our Gold Smash Team members. We are in the process of writing a paper to explain plausibly the mechanism underlying the solar cycles. That is the Sunspot and solar polar field reversal cycle. So welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. And congratulations on realizing that the content exists. You can find our social media on our homepage, a permanent invite link to our Discord chat. You want to send us an instant message, do it on Discord. I'll get a notification from that. Smashomash.com. Visit our link, support our channel. Thanks to everybody who has. And let's get to our meteorology segment. So we've been including all of our features together in one video. It seems to be that we've returned to our roots, making videos the way we did years ago, instead of breaking them up into individual videos, putting them in different locations, and so on. Looks like we were right the whole time. And once again, thanks to everybody who tunes in. So here are the jet streams of the eastern world. Strong jet streams over most of Australia at the moment. And a low pressure system just south of Australia in the Southern Ocean, rotating clockwise, as you can see there. Rather incoherent jet streams in the northern hemisphere. Here are the surface winds of Oceania. And again, a strong low here, rotating clockwise, south of Australia. Here are the surface winds of the Americas. And let's go to the 250 hectopascal winds to see the jet streams over here. Doubled up jet stream over eastern Canada. And a continued anticyclone here over the central U.S. See that clockwise rotation. Here are the jet streams of the central world. Strong doubled up jet stream here over the southern Atlantic. Backward jet stream over the northern Indian Ocean and North Africa continuing. And a weaker anticyclone here right off the west coast of Central Africa. Here are the surface winds. for those of you in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Now, we've got some excessive heat over large portions of the U.S., including the mid-Atlantic states. If you're wondering where Smash staff and I are located, it's right about here. That's about as much information as we'll give you, as our exact location is indeed classified. So some flooding here in New Mexico, some gale warnings around Alaska. If your county's lit, click your county. Those orange areas are heat advisories. It looks like a bit of a respite here for Kentucky, although unfortunately there is continued rainfall expected. So not as heavy a rain coming in the next 72 hours. That's your GFS total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 72 hours. Rainfall totals are shown here in inches. Here's your lightning mapper. Some strong lightning over most of Florida there. Heavy lightning there, occurring in the past about 10 hours. And I think we've got some terrestrial lightning cells active at the moment. Let's see what's going on. Great Lakes region, seeing some lightning. Some fresh strikes here around Green Bay. Also some less populated areas here in northern Michigan. Things fairly calm at the moment here, according to lightningmaps.org. Here's your pressure maps from windy.com. Windy.com's got a great mobile app. Perhaps check that out if you like. I do have it installed on my smartphone. It is free, and it is quite good. Here's your vertical motion of water droplets in the air column, known as the Doppler radar. And while I refresh that, let's take a look at clouds and fog using shortwave radiation. Shortwave radiation, it's what we use to view clouds and fog at nighttime when it's too dark to use the visible satellite. Thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman1057, and good morning to you as well. Here's water vapor. You can see all that moisture there around the Great Lakes colliding with this dry mass of air, which is a relative high-pressure system. Speaking in terms of this, that's a low. That dry mass of air to its south is a high pressure. Some rapid cloud nucleation happening in eastern Nebraska. So here's your recap. U.S. Doppler radar. As we close out today's composite video. Space weather and Earth weather together. We threw in the meteorology segment because, well, it's a value-added service. Foggy conditions over the northern Gulf. And last but not least, there is the water vapor map. We do have a strong rotation here. This low-pressure system surrounded by dry mass of air. That will not help to strengthen it. And that's where we close this thing out. So thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back.